Check. Check, check, check.
Headphone level sound good to you?
I have no audio in my headphones.
None.
None. Zero.
Shitibus erectibus. I think you are. Which one are you? How about this one? Are you this one?
No. I have nothing.
Okay. Are you this one?
Negative. Am I plugged in?
Gee, I don't know.
Right here?
Are you this one?
Nope.
Oh, shit. Something happened then. Because normally I think you're number 2 here. Okay, I got to start anyway.
Yep, start it.
Tonight, Clint and BZ are going to tear through the gristle of today's screaming headlines and rip out the sinewy tendons of truth ensconced within. All from the hoary streets of Shatramento Fornicalia, exposing the trembling toadies, the sniveling jackanapes, and the fripperous fopdoodles infesting altogether too much of this great nation of ours. Please feel free to partake of our chat room at shrmedia.com. Now, of course, we feature the effervescent contrarian sackheads Clint, plus the unrestrained bulbosity of myself, the Zipmeister, doubling your late-night conservatarian talk show pleasure with double the hosts. Some contents may have settled during shipping. Member FDIC batteries not included. Terra Cross dotted line. Hecho in Mexico. Patent pending. Warranty void in Montenegro. Tonight, Clint and BZ will talk about a veritable gaggle. No, wait, a shrewdness, a murmuration, an obstinacy, a warren, a pandemonium, a gaggle, a muster, a covey, an unkindness, a maelstrom, a knot, a shiver, an intrusion, a smack, a hive, a prickle, yea, a veritable cauldron of topics. Yonder, across from me, is Sackhead's Clint, and I'll be your server and obese somnambulist reprobate. Just for tonight, sorry, we don't take American Express or personal checks. So welcome to you, Sackheads, Clint Erebus, to the Sackheads Against Tyranny, otherwise known as the Shat Show. Welcome.
Thank you. Can you? You're not supposed to say my name because I'm supposed to be incognito tonight.
That's south of Folsom, isn't it?
Yes.
Okay.
It's yes.
Yeah.
You did forget one. Now you hit gaggle. You hit all of the. Great verbiage and all the great usage.
Right. The animal groups.
Yes, but you did forget one.
Uh-oh. Did I?
Yes, you did.
Oh crap!
What is it? What is it?
Covey? Did I say Covey?
I don't know if you said Covey, but I'm thinking of one specific.
No, I said Covey.
You said Covey. You neglected a.
Damn it, Jim. What did I say? Well, what didn't I say?
A murder. Like a murder of crows.
A muster. Okay, I got a muster. Maelstrom, not a shiver. A smack of. You're right. Oh, my. Okay, that deserves a. You are absolutely correct.
Don't ask me how after all of that you said that I actually picked that out as something you actually forgot.
You are absolutely 100% correct. I failed. I failed.
You didn't fail.
I failed at my job.
You didn't fail. BZ, what is a failing grade?
My job was a fail.
Let me ask you.
Wait a minute. Oh, wait. There's a new story that came out that a failing grade now. Remember when a failing grade used to be? And I don't have the story up.
I have the story.
Do you?
Yes.
Oh, God, get out of my brain.
I have the story. North Carolina.
There's only room in here for one of me.
No, I'm sorry. I'm in there tonight. That's how I know murder wasn't in there. But your failing grade. The good news is in North Carolina, because I think you did about 40% of your job tonight, which under new guidelines is a D.
That's right. That's right. Because the numbers changed. Well, you got to tell us how did the numbers change?
So in an effort
I heard that. I caught that.
You did.
Don't think I didn't catch that. I'm sorry. Go ahead, please.
So, in an effort to continue the degradation of education here in America,
right? Because it's not sufficiently dead yet, right?
Yes, and Common Core didn't quite get us there. So, the legislature of North Carolina, in their infinite wisdom, because this is exactly where government needs to be in the discussions that they need to be having,
right?
They put forth House Bill number 145. And it is under consideration. I don't know if it passed today or not. I haven't seen an updated vote. But what they want to do, look, we all know that an A was between what, BZ?
Oh, God.
90 to 100, correct?
Yeah, and then B was
80 to 89.
Okay, right.
Right. And so like 80 was a B minus.
I just remember the cutoff. Right. This is the only thing I remember from my days of yore long ago is that, if I'm not mistaken, I think a 60 percentile, that or below, was an F.
So it used to be, it was cut out like every 10%. So 90 to 100 A, 80 to 89.
Was I kind of close?
70. So 60 to 69 was a D.
Okay.
And then 59 and below, so you were close, is a failing grade.
Okay.
And you also had degrees, right? You had if you were a 100, that was an A, you were an A plus student. If you were a 90, you were an A minus student.
Right. Okay. I remember pluses and minuses.
Yeah, if you were right smack dab in the middle, you're an A student. Excellent. North Carolina, in their infinite wisdom, because everybody gets a trophy, and because kids need to feel good about themselves, and because too many kids are not performing well and failing, the state legislature decided that rather than take a look at the educational issues at hand, i.e. Common Core. I don't know if North Carolina is a Common Core state. If they're pulling this crap, I'm guessing that perhaps they are. But they came up with a new scale. Let me read you what the bill says. Quote, for all schools.
How did I know you were going to have this?
The total school performance score shall be converted to a 100-point scale and used to determine an overall school performance grade. Okay. I'm with that so far.
All right.
The overall school performance grade shall be based on the following scale and shall not be modified to add performance measures such as a plus or a minus.
Oh, judgmental, harsh, right?
If adopted, the grading scale would take effect for the 2019-2020 school year. So they're redefining what the scale shall be. They're saying that all schools, because I don't read in here where it says public schools. This says for all schools. This doesn't differentiate between public or private or charter. This bill reads all. And then it says...
That's an interesting point.
Yes.
Just in and of itself right there.
Yes, it is. And then it says that the overall school performance shall be grade and shall not be modified to add any other designation related to other performance measures, which means here is your scale. This is what you shall grade. And wait till I'm going to tell you what the scale is here in a second. Okay. This is what your grading has to be. And you cannot use other performance measures for your students, which means if you have, the way I'm reading this, if you have a charter school or if you have a private school and you want your students to excel at a greater level. You want to add some other way to measure their performance. You want to see perhaps college preparatory, or maybe using some kind of ACT or SAT or citizenship score or something else to measure or gauge performance to get a better snapshot of how your school is performing in a particular area or whatnot. You shall not use that. Here's the following scale. An A is from 85% and up.
Okay.
To 100. So what used to be a solid B is now an A.
Now, okay.
For a B,
great.
For a B, it's 70% to 84%. So what used to be a solid, a C minus score, a 70, what used to be a C minus score, almost a D, is now a solid B. Your C grade is a 55%. Remember, an F, a failing grade used to be 59. C, an average grade. Remember, C is considered to be average. Well, not now. It's a scale. We can't say average or above average or below average because that's too judgmental, correct? But a C is now 55%, up to 69%. So what used to be a D to an F is now considered C work.
Okay, so what is...
Oh, I'll get there.
Okay.
I'll get there.
Let me throw this out there. What number is it that's just the number just above a failure?
40.
What is that? Okay.
40.
Okay, and I know you have things to say, but I'm going to go somewhere with that.
40.
I'm going to go somewhere with 40%, but you finish what you were going to say.
An F is a 39% and below. 39%. If a student takes a 10-question test, if they get 4 correct, they still pass.
They pass.
If it's a 100-question test and a student gets a 55% on that test, they get a solid C.
Well, clearly, apparently, well, if they get a solid C, that means they did the work, right?
What work did they do? Did they get to the next level on their next video game?
Okay, I got a question for you, and maybe it's somewhere in that article that you just read. But the first thing that came to me was, all right, now that indicated that it's all schools.
Yes.
Okay, and it doesn't make any kind of a delineation
the
in
bill
between
reads for all schools.
A public school, a private school, a charter school,
correct,
a university.
This says for all schools.
Okay, so under that assumption, and this is what state now? This is
North Carolina. North Carolina of all places.
Yeah, which is really weird. Let me throw this out here to you now.
You had something to go with 40.
Yeah. So let's say you're in a medical school, and you under
40%.
this bill, you pass with 40%, and that's a passing grade. That's not a failing grade. So at 40%, at the conclusion of that school, and this is a question for you, what did they get to call you at the conclusion of your school?
Doctor.
Yes, Yes.
Yep.
They get to call you doctor.
Yes, they do. With a 40%. Which means you don't know more than half the shit you need to know.
That's going to go really well for North Carolina, don't you think?
Well, I don't see
any problems with this.
Doctors get shipped out, right? For residency?
Oh, God.
Don't doctors get shipped out for residency?
Yes, they can. Yeah. If that test. Well, now wait a minute. The doctors have to
still have a medical board.
They have to take their boards.
Correct. They have to take their boards.
So,
but still,
but do the boards become subject to this?
I don't think so, because they're boards.
Because
right?
now you're dealing with a specific profession. Okay, so
maybe in school you can be a dumbass, but you actually have to know your crap to be able to pass the test.
Okay,
Maybe. Look, I'm going to be the first one to admit I'm reading the bill and taking the text based upon what I am reading. And this says for all schools. There may be something somewhere in this bill or something that I'm not seeing that could say this is for only public schools or not for universities. We're making the speculation based upon the text as we have it right now.
Okay, so, let me throw this out there. In North Carolina, theoretically, you could pass doctor school and then go to take your boards for, North Carolina for that state and not pass, and therefore you wouldn't be a doctor. So at this point, according to the way that you're reading it, the schools could fall in that direction, and yet you could pass but still not be a doctor. So if there's actually still a final line between stupidity and getting to be an actual doctor.
Maybe. What if you get lucky? What if you just happen to check C?
Through all of them?
Through all of them.
Okay. Now,
I don't know what
you said you had a great story to tell, and we're going to get to.
No, that is the story.
Oh, that is the story. Okay.
Yes.
All right.
You just happen to give me the perfect segue into
the
this
opportunity for that. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So the last action: refer to Committee on Education K through 12. If favorable, rules, calendar, and operations of the House on 225. So this went to the Committee on Education K through 12. So based on that committee, I would say that it doesn't seem like it would apply to colleges.
Okay.
However, an act to adopt a 15-point scale in the determination of school performance grades. The State Board of Education shall calculate the overall school performance score by adding the school achievement score, blah, blah, blah. School achievement score of at least, it was a 90, crossed out to 85. So it actually is, yep. Wow. What do you think, BZ? Where else are we going to see this?
We know that the purpose in doing that is to, I'm assuming, and you're right, North Carolina was about the last state in which I would expect this would occur. But I can only assume that the goal here is to be ever more inclusive for lots of other people who otherwise would not pass and go on to, I don't know, pulling the lever at your local coffee shop that makes things go because that's what, your degree is worth now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, look, I think you get more educational value on your own. I am of the opinion that a college degree now is, in terms of education, I'm not talking in terms of jobs, although I would argue that a degree and the ability to get a job based on your degree is garbage right now too. But in terms of actual education, I think that our university system is so screwed up, and our education system as a whole is so screwed up, that I think the real education comes from outside of those traditional school sources. And I say that because I think that in school, and particularly in most colleges, you get a certain perspective. The textbooks you're studying are somebody else's interpretation of blah.
Right.
Insert subject. And the days of applying critical thinking, the days of independent analysis based on facts, source documents, or actual historical record,
or just being exposed to an opposing opposing viewpoint,
anything, right?
Just one.
But just here are the facts. Let's take a look at the information, if it's the data, whatever it is, and let's debate, let's discuss your particular viewpoint, interpretation, whatever it is, your interpretation based on this data set, and defend your position. We have lost that. If somebody looks at, first of all, I don't believe that students are looking at data set anymore, whether it actual historical documents, i.e. the text of the Constitution. The writings,
you're dealing with facts,
the
emotions.
The writings of George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, Frederick Douglass, name the figure, and reading their words for themselves. Instead, we get a textbook with somebody's interpretation of the data, whether it's climate change data, or whether it's data on evolution, or whether it's data on the Big Bang Theory. You're getting somebody's interpretation of that data, and any other opposing viewpoint is nixed or poo-pooed. And so I think the overall education system in our country is garbage. And so now to see this get dumbed down is a continuing of that dumbing down. It's going to hurt us even more in terms of competing on a global level economically, and could hurt us militarily and everything else.
You nailed it.
Down the road.
You absolutely nailed it, because this stuff is, I believe fervently, that it's examined in a vacuum. In other words, leftists predominantly have no inkling or consideration upon reflection, circumspection. They don't seem to consider unforeseen or foreseen consequences, or have any consideration whatsoever for any consequences. It's taken as though whatever it is that they mandate occurs in that proverbial vacuum of which I mentioned. But as you just stated, it's not just North Carolina.
It's not.
It has the chance to run all across the fruited plain, and further, as you already mentioned, it could seriously affect the military. It could affect our standing in the future. It could affect the education and the stance of the United States in terms of being the number one provider in all sorts of numerous fields. Nuclear physics,
topic.
Whatever field or area or topic that we used to be good in.
Yeah. Look, true education now, in my opinion, comes from outside sources. For example, I get told, and this could sound bad, but I don't give a shit, whatever. I get told that that people enjoy a certain perspective that I have on whatever historical event or whatever it is. Look, I didn't learn any of that stuff in college. I didn't learn any of that stuff in school.
Yeah,
you know where I learned that? I learned that stuff by pulling the source documents. I learned that stuff by actually reading the words of whoever was there, reading the words of the historical figure, getting different perspectives at that time, and drawing my own conclusions based on that.
Let me throw something out here for you.
Yeah. And so, this also ties into, and I want to get to what you're saying, but you look at the quality of education, particularly at the college level, and look at this jackass at UC Davis, this professor.
Oh, I got to find that story. That's in here buried amongst.
Oh, I have that story, but we can get to that now, or you can go ahead. I don't know if you wanted to ask if that ties in.
Yeah, we can get to that story because, damn, we're right on the topic. But let me tell you what I did, and then I want to ask you if you ever did something similar. Oh, by the way, where are my manners? I am so sorry. In chat, we have Iggy Mom, we have the Alaskan, we have Rebel Scum, we have Kaiser, and one viewer, and of course myself. So welcome to everybody in chat. Really,
I'm Rebel Scum, by the way.
I know you are. That's evident from the very first. But what I was going to say is, when I was in high school, back then, I had an incredible thirst in high school for knowledge, particularly with regard to history. So this is what I used to do on all my lunch breaks, and also at home. I would, because I wasn't big into I wasn't a jock or any of that kind of stuff, although later on I went out for football, but I was an empty vessel into which you poured history. I went into the library of the high school, and I literally read every book on World War II, and they had a lot in there. And that's how I educated myself. Then I became interested in military history. I went through World War I. Then I started backtracking. I went through I went through the 1700s. I went through the War of Independence. Then I thought, okay, well, that led me across the pond to England. Okay, what about the history of England? Then that led me to Europe. What about the history of Europe? And that led me to an absolute thirst for all kinds of knowledge. So is that something similar to what you used to do? Because I wasn't getting it in my various classes in high school. So I went and found and discovered all of this history by myself.
And I'll tell you what, I know you enjoy World War II history because you and I have talked. I just took a fantastic class on the Second World Wars, plural. And look, we do not get money from this organization. We are not endorsed by them. Any of that. I literally just completed a Hillsdale College online course on the Second World Wars, and some of their readings were source documents. Some of their a lot of their lectures are obviously perspective, but based on historical data, which you could go and research and back up that data. But the perspectives that they offer and the insight that they offer in that class is very, very, very interesting. I enjoyed hearing their perspectives and their analysis of World War II and the way they broke it down. So if you want to have a chance and check it out, I'm a huge fan of Hillsdale College. They don't take any public funds.
No, and
they basically give the big middle finger to the federal government.
Do you get their little flyer?
I absolutely do.
Imprimis,
yep. I do. And I've taken several of their online classes, and I support them.
Yes.
as well when I can.
Now, folks, please don't confuse them with Primus, whose bass player is Les Claypool. There's Primus. Then there's what Clint is talking about, which is Imprimus.
Yes.
Okay, so I just want to be clear on that.
But their online classes, you register for free, and it was a great class. So if you have an opportunity, BZ, I think it's only 7 lectures, and then the final each lecture is 45 minutes or so. But great class.
One other thing I'd like to mention
is
I just recently discovered this, and it's been out for a while, but I never really went there. Folks, if you're looking for a series of a compilation, a source, a resource, a central repository of lots of historical, educational videos, it's Prager University. If you haven't been to Prager University, you're doing yourself a very serious disservice. Doesn't cost any money. Their videos are primarily 5 to 10 minutes. They're short, they're punchy, and they're packed with facts. Not emotions, but facts. Prager University and also Hillsdale College and Imprimis. Okay? And we're not getting paid for any of that stuff.
Not at all.
Just want to tell you right there.
Yep. So, talking about the college system, the collegiate system today, particularly here in California.
And I found it.
You found it?
Yeah.
There is a professor. This is a college professor. This is somebody who is teaching our college students, our youth in this country. He is an English and comparative literature professor. I don't even know what the hell comparative literature is. What do you take 2 books and hold them up to each other
and see if one's longer?
This
wider.
One's yellow and this dust cover is blue.
Yeah,
dust covers. Does that show how old that I am?
Does that ever?
Does anybody know what a dust cover is? Okay. So this you the University of California
grocery bags.
Yes.
Huh?
Yes.
Yep.
I had to explain to my teenager why the symbol for a phone on the cell phone is a handset.
And they're probably thinking,
why is this the symbol for a phone? This looks nothing like the phone.
Yeah.
And in that realm, it's true. I had to show what a handset was.
Yeah.
Think on that one, folks.
Yeah.
So this is UC Davis professor Joshua Clover. He's also a poet, which is nice.
And doesn't know it, but his feet show it because they're Longfellows.
And let me read you a November 27th, 2014 tweet. Quote, "I am thankful that every living cop will one day be dead. Some by their own hand, some by others. Too many of old age. Hashtag let's not make more." December 27th, 2014, quote, I mean, it's easier to shoot cops when their backs are turned. No?
Great.
January 31st, 2016. Quote, people think that cops need to be reformed. They need to be killed.
Published in an interview from that lovely Professor Clover.
This is a University of California, Davis.
Maybe you should tell them what it is that he does or what it is that he teaches. His work focuses, like you said, on critical and political theory, political economy, poetry, poetics, and Marxism.
So let me read you this. So this is from litscene.com. And this is Evan Karp, January 31st, 2016. This is, again, LITSEEN.com. And I'm going to quote from this article. And this is an interview with Joshua Clover from the Right Stuff, WRITE Stuff series over at San Francisco Weekly, SF Weekly. Quoting, Joshua Clover is a communist.
Marxism.
Though various communists don't think so. He is a professor of literature and critical theory at the University of California, Davis. A national award-winning essayist.
Of course
Poet
he is.
And cultural theorist. He was a senior writer at The Village Voice, once quit as a senior writer at Spin, and has a column at The Nation. He has collaborated on writing, publishing, conference organization with Jasper, blah, 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 all these other bullshit. His latest book is Red Epic.
Well, of course it is. I'm quite frankly, I'm a little surprised that they didn't feature that he's a member of the Communist Party. He has to be a member of someone's Communist Party somewhere, don't you think?
Yes. So what people ask, what do you do? You tell them. The what do you do question is usually en route to a more interesting conversation, so I think it can be good to move past it pretty swiftly. Recently, the best conversations I've had with strangers have begun, can I ask you why you're reading that? Oh, he's so intellectual.
Is this something that you can hold over for the break and come back?
Okay. Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Tell you what, let's do that, folks. We're going to take a break. We're going to be right back. You're listening to Sackheads Clint, who is over there, and Sackheads BZ, who is over here, on the SHR Media Network. This is the Sackheads, the Shat Show, the Sackheads Against Tyranny.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Hey, it's Sean from the Sackheads Radio Show, also one of the owners here at the SHR Media Network. Are you opinionated? Have you ever wanted to do your own show? Have you ever heard somebody like the Sackheads and go, yeah, I could probably do that better? Well, now's your chance. Send me a 5-minute clip at sackheadsradio@gmail.com, and maybe you can be part of the SHR broadcasting team. sackheadsradio@gmail.com.
Broadcasting behind enemy lines in occupied California, a mere 2 miles from the state capital, the bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon Radio Show can be heard every Tuesday and Thursday night at 8 p.m. Pacific and 11 p.m. Eastern, only on the SHR Media Network. Go to shrmedia.com to listen. You can also watch on the SHR Media Facebook page and the SHR Media YouTube channel. No goldfish were abused in the making of this ad.
When dirty politicians, shadow governments, and deceptive Islam blind the world with fake stream media smoke, their only fear is one man with a cane. I'm Dave Milner. Join me through shrmedia.com, highplains.talkradio.com, and the Western Free Radio Network at Spreaker, YouTube, and iTunes for a different perspective weekly on the Unpleasant Blind Guy. And catch me on Jeff Mitchell's EDL Radio on blogtalkradio.com. There's
no surrender ever,
because truth is not always pleasant.
Hey guys, it's Sackhead Clint. I'm excited to tell you about a brand new show here on the SHR Media Network. I'm teaming up with the one and only all-powerful, the bloviating Zeppelin, sitting here to my left, bringing to you a fresh new show here on the network. It's Against Tyranny. And we'll be picking up where the Sackheads left off. Excited to be with you, sir.
Sackheads against tyranny.
We're going to chat. We're going to chat Wednesday nights.
S-H-A-T.
Sackheads against tyranny.
Wednesday night, 11 p.m. Oh, it's the same time, right? 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific.
Same sack time, same sack channel.
SHRmedia.com.
See what I did there?
It's your business diva here, Melanie Collette. I am inviting you to a front row seat as I discuss some of the most intriguing details of wealth and finance with today's movers and shakers in the world of business. Listen in and discover financial truths on a global, domestic, and household scale. Uncover topics that will impact your wallet today and in the future. Money Talk with Melanie airs Monday through Friday, 5 p.m. East, 2 p.m. West, right here on SHR Media and High Plains Pundit Talk Radio. You can't afford to miss it.
Human by race, Christian by faith, American by nationality, and conservative by choice. Reverend Ralph J. Chittum Sr. is the right guy on SHR Media from 8:05 to 9 p.m. Monday through Friday. And if on the rare occasion I am ever wrong, I will still always be right. The right guy on SHR Media.
Hey, this is Michael Wright.
And I'm Shannon Wright.
Join us for The Right Way with Shannon and Mike, Monday through Thursday from 7 to 9 a.m. right here on SHR Media.
Why are they joining us?
For fun things like sports, politics.
Oh, maybe some news and entertainment?
And all kinds of other things.
Money and recipes and events, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, so join us Monday through Thursday, 7 to 9 a.m. here on shrmedia.com.
Hey, BZ. So the plan's working. You got rid of Sacco. Sean is now stepping away.
I never even saw him.
And I know, and insidious. You know, we talked about this for for the last 3 years, and finally coming to fruition.
You know I'm still in the room, right?
It's almost like he's here still. Did you hear that?
Yeah, it's kind of.
It's amazing. It's kind of
at you.
It's kind of eerie.
Kind of poltergeist.
Like a poltergeisty thing.
Yeah, Sackheads against tyranny.
You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
I can't still hear shit. I have audio.
Well, welcome and welcome back. This is the Chat Show, Sackheads Against Tyranny. I am Sackheads BZ, and let's see, right over there is Sackheads Clint.
Right there's
poke. I'm
BZ.
poking the envelope right there. Did your headphones work in the previous segment?
No.
Not at all.
No,
okay.
That's why I just have them off. I can hear you just
All right.
fine. I don't need to hear the other stuff through the headphones.
Okay. So we were talking about this crazy ass university
Jacktard.
professor.
In my opinion, he's a fuckhead.
Clover, wasn't that his name? And you still had some more stuff about him.
I got more.
Who basically, if you missed the story,
Joshua Clover. Joshua Clover. It sounds so nice.
Creams in
Let me tell you what. Here's what an asshat this guy is.
Who advocates killing cops.
Here's what a fucking asshat this guy is. Here's the question in this interview. Do you have a favorite ancestor? What is his or her story? Here's his response.
Okay.
I have an almost total lack of interest in family history.
Okay. All right.
That's his initial response. I have almost a total lack of interest in family history.
Alrighty. Which
is interesting if you think about Woodrow Wilson's goal of making each man as least like his father as possible. But I digress.
Right.
Because he goes on and says, though I am interested in the consistency with which it intersects with the great tides. Man, he's so intellectual.
Yeah, but anytime you throw in like the word intersection or intersectional, you're
super smart.
Of high intelligence.
Yes.
Right?
He says, often horrifying of history at large, like relatives who died in the camps, yes. Relatives who fled the Dust Bowl and starvation for California, yes. Who fought in the army, who fought in the free speech movement, yes, yes. And then he says, I really like that cliches are cliches for a reason.
Okay.
What a freaking clown.
Here's a cliche.
Oh,
for
no,
the
I've
professor.
got more. Oh, I've got more shit that this guy goes off on.
A cliche for the professor. You're a leftist fucktard. How about that? That's a cliche, but it's true.
Yeah. How much money do you have in your checking account? I don't have a savings account. So all of it.
Of course
I have never had a bank account or credit card.
Why
I have
would
this
he?
little credit union. They wink at me with secret complicity because they know I got arrested for blockading a bank once. It was in the local news. They think I am the weaponized wing of the credit union movement.
Oh, please. This guy is...
And the coup de grace.
This guy is a sociopath because it's all about him. If you look at the 10 aspects of a sociopath, you'll find probably 9 of them there for him.
So here you go. What's wrong with society today? Here's his response. People think that cops need to be reformed. They need to be killed.
Right. Well,
that's it.
You said that before, and then
that's his entire response. But I wanted to give context.
But those are simply variations on a theme. The theme is kill cops, and he has a ton of variations on that, right?
Which, if you're thinking about if a communist revolutionary really wants to make change in this country, what is one of the things they have to do? They have to kill cops, right? They have to kill those that are sworn to uphold the law of the land and uphold the Constitution, and that's what they do. So that makes perfect sense to me. But the sad thing is as angry as that story makes me, because this individual is allowed, first of all, as a communist, but second of all, as somebody who outwardly advocates the killing of another human being, another innocent human being.
And I'm sure he believes that his job there is to advocate that and let that be displayed to all of his students. As far as he's concerned, it's his job to inculcate that philosophy into everyone that steps through his classroom door.
And how in the hell
not think so?
How in the hell is public tax dollars being used to fund, number one, somebody advocating the killing of cops, not the killing of somebody we're at war with, not the killing of somebody who is trying to kill other innocent people or anything like that. It's killing cops, something that even in the state of California is considered such an extreme perspective or an extreme act that it will get you a ticket to death row.
Except for Kamala Harris. Right.
Except for Kamala Harris, but that's another story for another day. But on the books, killing a police officer in the state of California is considered a special circumstances, and it will give you a membership to death row if convicted, or it can. And this guy is advocating for that. Number two, we have public funds. So this guy is advocating doing something that is a capital offense. The other thing is you have public tax dollars paying the salary of a communist. And a communist...
Oh, and he's tenured. You know he's tenured.
Fuck yeah, he is.
So you can't screw with him.
And a communist, make no mistake about it, wants to bring about the downfall of society as we know it. They want to bring about the downfall of the republic, the Republican government, little r, Republican government that we have in this country. This individual is an enemy to our country, to the American way of life, to society as a whole, and he is allowed to continue to be paid with tax dollars, and worse than that, in my opinion, he is able to continue educating, quote-unquote, kids.
Here's a question. Wouldn't people like this be happier if they were installed in Russia, say? Or wouldn't they be happier if they were installed in, downtown Beijing? Or wouldn't they be happy if they were installed in North Korea? And I would respond with the answer of no, they're much happier where they are, because their job, as far as they see it, is to be a spoiler.
Their job is to bring about the revolution from the inside. America would never be destroyed from the outside. America will be destroyed from within. That is 100% true.
Absolutely. Let me run through these, and folks, you tell me if you think any of these things may apply to him or to people that you know, or people that may be in your family, or people that you deal with at work. These are the 7, I overestimated by 3. These are the 7 traits of a psychopath. The first one is pathological lying and manipulation. Do you know anybody that lies frequently and clearly tries to manipulate people?
Sean's not even here to defend himself.
I know, it's very sad. Number 2, lack of morality and essentially the embracement of rule breaking. I see a lot of that, don't you? Number 3, lack of empathy and cold-heartedness. I think we're seeing some of those traits in the individual that you just mentioned. Number 4, narcissism and false superiority complex. Again, take all these points and see if they apply to anybody that might be in your realm that you come across, either in your personal life or at work. Number 5, gaslighting and psychological bullying. When somebody puts you down, leaves you feeling like you can't do anything right, or makes you feel worthless and bad about yourself in general, it's emotional abuse. Number 6, we're almost done. Lack of contrition and self-serving victimhood. Sound familiar to anybody? And number 7, the situational sociopath or psychopath, because everything with them deals with them and revolves around them and is situational, involving them. I again ask, anybody sound like anybody you know? Again, I'd like to say thanks to everybody in chat. Iggy Mom, Mike, the Alaskan, Whiskey Dale, Rebel Scum, Kaiser, and one viewer. Whiskey Dale asks, Mary has gone to bed. Mary was never here. So, no, she didn't make an appearance at this point. I've got so many other stories. It's like, let me run this.
You know what? I've got to stick on.
Are you still going to keep going on that? Okay,
not on the communist standpoint. Look,
okay,
right. Socialists are now out. They've outed themselves here in the United States, which is scary. Well, I'm glad they're out. I want to know exactly who they are.
Well, yeah. Do you remember the Vladimir Lenin quote? Do you remember that? Socialism is only the stepping stone to the next logical progression, which is communism.
Yes, absolutely.
So if we embrace socialism, as apparently so many people around the United States want, the ultimate goal is communism. And what's the greatest, I think the biggest delineator between the two is under socialism, the corporations need to be nationalized. And we've certainly seen that in Venezuela. If you move to communism, communism is there is no personal property anywhere, period.
None.
End of statement. Not just corporations, but everything. Your work, your labor, your home, etc. Everything belongs to the state.
Well, I'm going to read you a quote, and I want you to tell me who it's from. Quote, "It's funny sometimes American journalists talk about how bad a country is because people are lining up for food. That's a good thing.
Oh.
In other countries, people don't line up for food. Rich people get the food, and poor people starve to death." This is the same individual who was going on and on in the 80s about the benefits of Marxist and socialist governments. In 1988, after a trip to the Soviet Union, he talked about how amazing the Soviet Union was, how beautiful the public transit stations were, including the works of art. Everything is so beautiful. There's palaces of culture, and it's just a great society. Also, he says, quote, I was impressed with the youth programs that they have.
Right.
They're palaces of culture for the young people, a whole variety of programs for young people, and cultural programs which go far beyond what we do in this country. Hey, Ask Klein.
Okay, wait.
Yes.
Wait.
Oh, do you know who it is?
Yeah, before you tell people who it is, do you want to hear him?
Yes.
Okay. And folks, you tell me if you know who this is.
Sometimes American journalists talk about how bad a country is because people are lining up for food. That's a good thing. In other countries, people don't line up for food. The rich get the food and the poor starve to death.
So, folks, who was that? I know. Do you? Or perhaps Clint can tell us.
That is Democratic presidential candidate Bernie Sanders.
Yes, who was running essentially on socialism last time, but this time apparently has changed his tactics because it's not all about the economy. It's not all about the evil corporations. It's not all about the terrible Wall Street. No, now Bernie Sanders has backed up in order to take the bigger picture. And whereas before he really didn't mention much about identity politics, this time around, Sanders is about all the other things that we mentioned before: anti-corporation, anti-capitalism, anti-Wall Street, and now the new invented 2020 Bernie Sanders is now an identity politicist. Isn't that great?
That is great, and I want to get to two other stories that came out that are linked that I haven't seen linked anywhere else. But
God, I'm sharp though. I had that audio cut ready for you just
nice
in case.
Work. I know, nice work.
Just in case.
These stories came out, and I'm going to submit that they are linked.
Okay.
So the first story that came out is the bill to save a life of a baby who was born alive after a failed abortion.
Right. Okay.
That failed. The bill basically wanted to require doctors to, if a baby is born alive, if the abortion effort failed, you have a live baby. That is life. In our society, life is precious. That baby is an individual. They have a right to life. But the doctors don't have to save the baby or make life-severing efforts. It is straight up infanticide.
They blocked that bill on Monday.
Yeah. And I want you to kind of put a pin in that for a moment, and I want you to hear something that Ocasio-Cortez said, or she made a comment this week as well that said, quote, there is a legitimate question that needs to be asked. Is it okay to still have children? I haven't seen a linking of these two questions or of these two stories, but if you think about it, the theme is linked. For whatever reason, we've gone beyond. Once you have a baby that is born alive and we're not caring for that baby outside of the womb as an independent human being with a right to life,
okay.
The baby is looked at as whatever tissue. We have to ask ourselves why, because at that point there is no choice. It is not a women's health issue or a women's choice issue. The choice was, I guess, to have the baby out of the body. Well, the baby's out of your body now. Now you have an independent life.
It should theoretically be an entirely separate issue, yes, right?
It should be an entirely separate issue. So why is it not? This remark by Ocasio-Cortez is very interesting to me because...
By the way, if you think that I have the audio for that, you might be right.
Oh, I'm sure you do. But... Go ahead and play it for him, and then I want you to think about why is this important to have these two stories together?
Because it's so casual.
And
I
I'll tell you
wish
my
I could show
important.
you the video, but
yeah.
I mean, it's just she mentions I talked about a sociopath, narcissism, self-involvement, this means nothing. Because it comes off of her lips so readily and so easily while she's preparing vegetables or she's cutting something at the vegetable board at the sink in her brand new, very luxurious apartment that she didn't have before she was, oddly enough, in politics. So let's see what she says.
Our planet is going to be a disaster if we don't turn this ship around. And so it's basically like there's scientific consensus that the lives of children are going to be very difficult. And it does lead, I think, young people to have a legitimate question. Is it okay to still have children? And I mean, not just financially, because people are graduating with $20,000, $30,000, $100,000 worth of student loan debt, and so they can't even afford to have kids in a house, but also just this basic moral question, like, what do we do? And even if you don't have kids, there are still children here in the world, and we have a moral obligation to them, to leave a better world for them. And this idea that if we just, I've been working on this for X amount of years, it's like not good enough. Like, we need a universal sense of urgency, and people are trying to introduce watered down proposals that are frankly going to kill us.
Right.
A lack of urgency is going to kill us. It doesn't matter if you agree that climate change is an important issue. At this point, it doesn't matter. If you believe climate change is a problem, that's not even the issue.
The issue is... She goes on to continue, but you see how the linkage in her brain, as far as she's concerned, is population is in direct causal linkage with climate change. So population is in direct conflict.
There we go.
With climate change. And the question, because I know you're not going to have the answer, but I do, because I had to read the fucking book. I had to read Future Toffler, Future Shock by Alvin Toffler. And I also had to read Paul Ehrlich's book. What did Paul Ehrlich write in the 60s? He wrote the book that the world is going to explode. And what was that book called? The Population Bomb. We're back to fucking 1960 all over again.
Look, here's why I bring these two stories up together. Why would the left want to kill a baby? Why would the left want to engage in infanticide? The left right now is very much into the environmental movement. The extreme left is. You look at the Green New Deal that was brought about. These abortion bills are coming about at a time when the Democratic Party is making a hard left turn. Towards Marxism, socialism, communism, and life is degraded in those societies. The other major front for the hard left right now, and again, the Green New Deal is kind of the flagship of that, is the environmental movement. And so I looked at these as being linked because I believe they are.
Yes.
Yes. In my research, it brought me to the voluntary human extinction movement. VHEMT. They have a web page and everything.
Oh.
If you're not familiar with this group, it's VHEMT. You can look them up. You can go to their website. It's vhempt.org. And what they want to do is they are looking for people to abstain from reproduction.
Of course.
In order to cause the gradual voluntary extinction of humankind. That's their goal of this movement. They are a far left environmental group. And again, you look at what the Green New Deal was. They don't care about the impact on human beings.
But there's a bottom line that I can go to because we got about 2 more minutes left before the bottom of the hour break. I'm sorry, the top of the hour break. To everyone who advocates that, including Paul Ehrlich, I humbly say, and I mean this with every fiber of my being, I really do. It distills down to 2 words.
You first.
You first. Yes.
Okay, great minds.
That deserves a...
Like, I've been in your head a couple times tonight, huh?
God dang it.
Yeah. Look, I encourage you folks to check this stuff out. Again, go to the source. Go to vhemt.org. Go to them directly and find out what they're about. And if you think that these are not linked, I challenge you to show me how they are not linked. And given the direction of the parties and kind of looking at the lay of the land, I believe they
believe it that they are.
Yeah, I believe they absolutely are, and so I think they're important to talk about together. And I know we're up against a break, so I'm gonna leave it at that.
Let me throw this open to you, and you may know this. There was also a big UN proposition or a proposal or something like that, and it had a name. I know, Agenda 21. And folks, if you haven't read Agenda 21, I believe it's still kept under UN archives, or you can go to your favorite search engine and just type in clickety-clickety-click, quick like a bunny, Agenda 21, and then see what you get out of that. Anyway, you're listening to Sackheads Clint, who is over there, and I am Sackheads BZ, and we'll be right back. This is the Shat Show, the Sackheads Against Tyranny. Don't go anywhere, please.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Hey, this is Michael Wright.
And I'm Shannon Wright.
Join us for The Right Way with Shannon and Mike, Monday through Thursday from 7 to 9 a.m. right here on SHR Media.
Why are they joining us?
For fun things like sports, politics.
Oh, maybe some news and entertainment?
And all kinds of other things.
Money and recipes and events, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, so join us Monday through Thursday, 7 to 9 a.m. here on shrmedia.com.
From a public locker inside a dilapidated Long Island rail station comes a show designed to piss off liberals using truth, facts, and ridicule. The Lid Radio Show, featuring the conservative voice from the People's Republic of New York, the Lid himself, Jeff Dunitz. Tune in every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific on the SHR Media Network. Go to shrmedia.com. At Lid Radio, we fight for the truth, justice, and a good kosher T-bone. If you don't listen, Hillary Clinton might sneak into your bedroom in her housecoat late at night and blame you for her election loss. It's the Lid Radio Show with Jeff Dunitz.
Hey girls, Carry Girl Gear is here. More and more women every day are concealed carrying, participating in competitive shooting, and getting firearms training. It's not a boys' club anymore, and we don't have to shop in their stores anymore either. Finally, a cool and unique clothing line just for women. Dope tees and hats for the patriotic concealed carry and 2A girl. So what are you waiting for? Go check out carrygirlgear.com today.
It's your business diva here, Melanie Collette. I am inviting you to a front row seat as I discuss some of the most intriguing details of wealth and finance with today's movers and shakers in the world of business. Listen in and discover financial truths on a global, domestic, and household scale. Uncover topics that will impact your wallet today and in the future. Money Talk with Melanie airs Monday through Friday, 5 p.m. East, 2 p.m. West, right here on SHR Media and High Plains Pundit Talk Radio. You can't afford to miss it.
The new show on the SHR Media Network, Sackheads Against Tyranny. On shrmedia.com. Go there quick like a bunny, 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific every Wednesday. Live and direct on the SHR Media Network. shrmedia.com. Be there.
For 50 years, I've seen the American people blinded by corrupt politicians, a lapdog media, and deceptive Islam. The one thing the elites fear is one man with a cane. I'm Dave Milner. Join me through Spreaker, iTunes, and SoundCloud, through SHR Media and the Western Free Radio Network, for half a century of experienced perspective on political and social issues, weekly on The Unpleasant Blind Guy. And catch me on Jeff Mitchell's EDL Radio on blogtalkradio.com. There's
no surrender, ever.
Because truth is not always pleasant.
Broadcasting behind enemy lines in occupied California, a mere 2 miles from the state capitol, the bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon Radio Show can be heard every Tuesday and Thursday night at 8 p.m. Pacific and 11 p.m. Eastern, only on the SHR Media Network. Go to shrmedia.com to listen. You can also watch on the SHR Media Facebook page and the SHR Media YouTube channel. No goldfish were abused in the making of this ad. Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, thanks for listening to the Shat Show, the Sackheads Against Tyranny, live and direct from the SHR Media Studios. That's Sackheads Clint over there. I'm Sackheads BZ. Thanks again to everybody that's in chat. Ziggy Mom, Michael John Pasqua, the Alaskan Andy Wood Rebels, Rebel Scum, Kaiser, and Mamba. Welcome to Mamba. Haven't seen you around for a while. We hit a ton of topics tonight, and we had just gone over, tons of them. The last was the population issue. What were the letters of that, Clint? That VHEMT. VHEMT. The V. I don't remember what they stood for.
It stands for the Voluntary Human Extinction Movement.
Okay, and you and I did come to an agreement with regard to 2 words and that movement. Mm-hmm. You first.
You first?
You first. Them. Meaning them.
Them first,
them
not
first.
you. I like
Yeah.
you too much. I don't want you to go
thank
first.
you.
I
Okay, I appreciate that. Now, we're going to be really cool people because you guys are going to see how cool we are in terms of segues from topics. I want to throw out 2 stories so that you can examine them. And if 5 years ago, 10 years ago, this would be absolutely laughable. It would be extremely ludicrous. No one would even think about this. But this falls into the category, as far as BZ is concerned, as Schadenfreude. Here's the first one. It kind of starts smaller, and then it gets bigger. And what I mean is this. This is a story from the Washington Times. And this is the state of things now, this is the United States. The headline is, Transgender sprinters finish first, second at Connecticut Girls Indoor Track Championship. She shouldn't be running, they say, not against girls. Yearwood, a 17-year-old junior at Cromwell High School, is one of the 2 transgender high school sprinters in Connecticut transitioning to female. She recently finished second in the 55-meter dash at the State Open Indoor Track Championships. The winner, Terry Miller of Bloomfield High, is also transgender and set a girls' state indoor record of 6.95 seconds. Yearwood finished in 7.01 seconds, and the third-place competitor, who is not transgender, finished in 7.23 seconds. Any thoughts about that? Because this is just a stepping stone, Sir Clint, to the story that I have next. But in terms of what I said, like Schadenfreude is similar to people getting kind of what they deserve, and then as that occurs, you're laughing like a bastard at them. That's kind of what Schadenfreude is. So any initial Clint thoughts on that? Because
I'm going to reserve comment.
We're going to go, okay, then there we go. I'm going to move right into the second story because you just gave me the permission to do that. So I'm going to do that. And this exemplifies why I try to go and examine a lot of stories that are not produced by United States media. So I'll go across the pond and I'll look at UK media, occasionally German media, etc. But this is one that I found from the UK. But it's also applicable now across the world. And perhaps you're thinking to yourself, what is it ever that BZ is saying. This is from the Daily UK Mail, and the headline is, transgender athletes to be allowed to compete as the other sex in the Olympics without having gender reassignment surgery. So if you thought that it was staying in your state, whatever state you may be in, California or another leftist state, North Carolina, Massachusetts, Oregon, Washington, no, it's already crossed the pond, and it's going to be involved in the Olympics.
So a biological man,
yes,
can compete in a women's triathlon
if he believes that he identifies as a female and has not completed transitional surgery yet. The IOC, the International Olympic Committee, received proposed guidelines of its meeting of sex reassignment and hypertransgendoism. The policy change would allow transgender athletes to compete without having gender reassignment surgery. It would also allow transgender athletes to compete after 1 year of hormone replacement therapy, and no surgery is ever required. The change would be in line with current, and if you didn't think this was true, in NCAA statistics, the change is in line with NCAA standards already extant in the United States. Sackheads, Clint, did you know that?
I did not.
I did not either.
I did not.
But isn't that wonderful that in this great nation, this great Western civilization, that now the Olympics, men can compete as women if they think that they're women, and essentially, what in your estimable opinion, Sackheads Clint, what do you think this does for the future of sports?
I have a fix.
A fix?
I have a fix.
Oh, wait a minute. Who says we even need a fix?
No. They'll love it. We won't love it, but they'll love it. Well, they might love it. So here's my fix.
All right, I'm willing to listen to your fix, whatever you think that is.
Here's my fix.
Okay.
Do away with gender sports. Why do we have a women's biathlon and a men's biathlon and a women's gymnastics and a men's gymnastics and a women's, just have gymnastics, period.
That's exactly what I wrote today in social media when I saw that story right there. I said, why stop there?
Yeah.
Why just get rid of gender anything?
Period. We have baseball,
Academy Awards,
softball,
or sports, or anything
football.
like that. Just eliminate this heinous gender stuff and let men win all the shit from now until perpetuity. I'm sure that would sit well with women, wouldn't
and then that's sexist. How is that not sexist? If a man comes in and biological man comes in and competes in a women's sport and wins,
you did.
Now, this is so backwards for the feminist movement if you think about it, because
sure it is.
They're trying to lift women up, give women their own sports, their own thing. They can compete, and it's actually fair. They compete amongst themselves. Men compete amongst themselves. That's fair, right?
Sure.
But now, because physiologically men are stronger, typically, right? I mean, you look at that one man, quote unquote, that one that what is a cycling event or whatever. I try not to pay attention to that garbage, but you know what I'm talking about.
Right.
You're right. They're gonna, if men compete in these traditional women's sports.
Did you hear the Martina Navratilova story that just occurred this past week?
I heard something about it. I honestly didn't pay any attention to it.
And it was this, and again, ladies and gentlemen, when I tell you it pleases it tinkles the nipples of BZ to think that this stuff happens, because I love seeing leftists hoisted on the petards of their own creation, and then I giggle like a little obese bastard that I am. But this is wonderful. Martina Navratilova was skewered, all right? And she's a lesbian, if I'm not mistaken. She's like 6'2", a former tennis pro for many, many years. Came out. She was a promoter of LGBT issues for quite some time. And because she came out as the result of this recently in the past week and said something similar to, well, I don't think that this is quite fair. This isn't fair to women and women that don't have the unenhanced biological capabilities that some of these other people, and she was drugged through the social media mud, excoriated.
Standing up for women.
And called every name in the possible book. That's the future of the insanity that we're watching right now, writ large, right in front of our faces. Martina Navratilova, a promoter of the LGBT ABCDEFGA community.
Mm-hmm.
Now, she's bad because she made a judgment call saying that, in her opinion, this doesn't seem to be fair.
I have a question, and this is a legitimate question. This is a discussion I had today. If sex means nothing, sex in terms of gender.
Yeah, biologically you mean.
If biological gender means nothing.
Okay, XX and XY, immaterial, right?
Means nothing.
Right.
Then how can we have a gay community or a lesbian community? Because a homosexual is same gender sexual relationship or intercourse, correct?
Okay.
A lesbian relationship is the same. Well, if we have no gender identification or no gender boundaries, then how can you in fact have a same sex or a same gender relationship? Unless it's just how you identify. So following their illogical logic through,
right,
I would say homosexuals no longer exist.
Okay. You make an excellent point about that. Let me throw this. I have another one that another situation that I'd like to throw out on the table.
Yeah.
If there are in truth no real genders, there is no, I don't know, for lack of a better word, no prototypical man and no prototypical woman, and men, because with the man bun, etc., men really they shouldn't be dressing a specific way, and women shouldn't be dressing a specific way, and we should all be essentially little robots. The biggest question for transgenders is why, when they're in a body that they don't care for, that they try so desperately to be what everyone else says there is nothing of. In other words, if you're female and you're trying to be male, you're embracing the maleness. In other words, you're taking testosterone. You're embracing the beard. You're embracing the pectorals. You're embracing the penis. You may go so far as to have a penis, give a dictomy applied to yourself.
Add a dictomy.
And so why is it that the maleness is so lusted after? Consequently, also, if you're a male and you wish to transition to female, why is it that you want, say, wider hips? What is it inherent about breasts that do anything for a woman? Because we're all the same. Why would you auger down the Adam's apple if you want to be a woman? Why would you want to have a vagina installed? Why would you want to menstruate? Because men and women are all the same. So why are these things lusted after? Why are these so sought after in all sorts of communities? Because these are the same people that are telling us there really is no difference between men and women. How does that happen? Just asking. Just asking. It's just a question.
The question in the chat room is, hey, what about queers?
Right.
Well, queer just means different. So, right. BZ, if you're wearing a different hat than the rest of society, you're queer.
I'm a little queer than I was the day before I wasn't wearing this hat.
And then Kaiser's asked, what about if a woman wears a strap-on under her clothes? And, well, that just means Sean's going to be interested.
Okay.
In her.
All right,
I mean, really, right?
So, in some ways, it is simple.
In some ways, it's simple. Okay. And I was completely being a sarcastic ass. But
no, come on.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen.
But
I mean, I think these are legitimate questions. Are these not legitimate questions? If there is no such thing as maleness, why do certain people want this maleness? If being a female there is no such thing as a female. Why do certain individuals so desperately seek to be female when simultaneously they're telling us that there is no difference, and we should celebrate the non-unique aspect of male and female? And hell, let's just do away with all the damn pronouns and make everybody... Well, wait, no. How many pronouns are there now? 20,
according to my kids,
30, 40.
it's just he and she. And
there's 40, 45 pronouns now in whatever community it is that you belong to. So, you know,
I don't know. It's
if this weren't so fucking sad and simultaneously stupid, you could laugh at this, but you and I both know, because of the factor involving foreseen and unforeseen consequences, and leftists absolutely fail at the ability to have introspection or circumspection about anything that they're attempting to do, it would be laughable. Oh, Kaiser in chat says 74. Okay, thanks, Kaiser. There are 74 different separate pronouns that leftists, the LDAM, leftists, Democrats, and the American media maggots currently are attempting to embrace. And in some areas and venues, including schools, universities, etc., you can be reprimanded, fired, held to answer for someone's bizarre scheme if you don't address an individual by whatever pronoun it is.
In California, it's criminal.
That they want you to address them
in
as.
California, it's criminal for what? Medical workers, right?
Yeah, even if you make a mistake. And you air quotes, misgender someone.
Criminal.
You're absolutely correct, Sir Clint. Yes, you are.
Yeah.
If this weren't sad and sick, which it is, both, because these individuals have no concept of reality whatsoever, it would be laughable. But here's the thing. Human beings will always push the envelope as much as they possibly can. So you have to continuously ask yourself, what is the next envelope that's going to be pushed? I mean, we talked last week, and I spoke at depth on my own show about how pedophiles are attempting to become normed under the LGBT community, and there are maps and no maps. And if you don't know what that is, and you didn't listen to Clint last week, and you didn't listen to me the week before that, go on your favorite search engine and find out what a map or a no map is with regard to pedophiles. But it's here.
Yeah, we're already changing.
It's already here. So that begs the question.
Kaiser. I'm sorry.
Okay. Do you want to read that, or do you want me to read that?
No, but that is friggin' hilarious.
Okay.
Yeah.
In chat, because we are the sackheads and we have no shame, but it is amusing. Kaiser says, "I want my cock pap smeared." You know, I'm sorry. Leftists want to be taken seriously, and I just can't. I cannot take these ridiculous tards seriously. And if you're offended at the word tard, 2 words, fuck you. I don't care. You can't hold anything over me. I just really do not care. I am so beyond caring at this point. You have no sway over me. You hold no sway over me. Okay, I have a couple of other places that I can go, and I'm thinking that I know this is kind of an odd transition, but can we go into...
Look, speaking of cocks getting pap smeared, Cohen.
Okay.
Speaking of cocks, Cohen. There we go. There's the transition.
Yes, I knew I could count on you with regard to... Andy Wood in chat says, well, that's the fucking jarhead in him coming out.
Well, I asked Kaiser if he wanted an anal DNC as well.
Yeah.
And I think he said definitely.
Rebel scum. Okay, I have an audio cut, and in which the real Michael Cohen tended to come out. And this, I think, was probably one of the best Cohen questions today. And of all people, it was essentially corroborated by wonderful leftists, Debbie Wasserman Schultz, who asked something similar to, well, how can we... She's talking to to Michael Cohen. And she says, well, basically, how is it that we can corroborate or we can believe in whatever it is that you're saying? So let's let DWS do some talking about that.
A free agent that was reporting back to the president what he had done.
Correct. He frequently reached out to Mr. Trump, and Mr. Trump was very happy to take his calls. It was free service.
Roger Stone says he never spoke with Mr. Trump about WikiLeaks. How can we corroborate what you are saying?
I don't know, but I suspect that the special counsel's office and other government agencies have the information that you're seeking.
Yeah, okay, well, that's like this. She asks the question of Michael Cohen. She says, how can we corroborate what you're saying? And his response is 3 words, I don't know. And that's kind of an interesting soundbite. Here's, let's see. Here's another one. I'm going to put the headphones out so that you can hear this, Clint.
Yeah, I can hear it when my headphones are
yeah, they're kind
bad
of
order.
They're having a big issue. This is about a 2-minute cut, which deserves playing, and I'm going to make sure that you can hear it. And folks, to give a little insight on this, this is Congressman Jim Jordan. I love him. And in 2 minutes, what he's going to be doing is essentially nailing what's going on with Jim Jordan. So I'm going to play this and hope that Clint over there can hear this.
I'm going to come over to your station so you can go ahead and click my camera off.
Okay. All right. So tell you what, let's do this in preparation for this. Let's do this right here. And folks, you're going to be able to hear it, and Sackheads, Clint is going to be able to hear it. This is at the Cohen testimony. He's testifying in front of the House Oversight Committee, and this... God, I wish I could take this, take a shot from my phone right now. This is Congressman Jim Jordan.
Here we go. Here we go. Your first big hearing, your first announced witness, Michael Cohen. I want everyone in this room to think about this. The first announced witness for the 116th Congress is a guy who is going to prison in 2 months for lying to Congress. Mr. Chairman, your chairmanship will always be identified with this hearing. And we all need to understand what this is. This is the Michael Cohen hearing presented by Lanny Davis. That's right. Lanny Davis choreographed the whole darn thing. The Clintons' best friend, loyalist, operative, Lanny Davis put this all together. You know how we know? He told our staff. He told the committee staff. He said the hearing was his idea. He selected this committee. He had to talk Michael Cohen into coming. And most importantly, he had to persuade the chairman to actually have it. He told us it took 2 months to get that job done, but here we are. He talked him into it. This might be the first time someone convicted of lying to Congress has appeared again so quickly in front of Congress. Certainly, it's the first time a convicted perjurer has been brought back to be a star witness in a hearing. And there's a reason this is the first, because no other committee would do it. Think about this. With Mr. Cohen here, this committee, we got lots of lawyers on this committee. This committee is actually encouraging a witness to violate attorney-client privilege. Mr. Chairman, when we legitimize dishonesty, we delegitimize this institution. We're supposed to pursue the truth, but you have stacked the deck against the truth. We're only allowed to ask certain questions, even with that amendment you just told us about. Well, Russia's now on the table. You initially told us we can't ask questions about the special counsel, can't ask questions about the Southern District of New York, can't ask questions about Russia. Nope. Nope. Only subjects we can talk about are ones you think are going to be harmful to the President of the United States.
Bing.
And
Go.
the answers to those questions are going to come from a guy who can't be trusted.
That's it. That's it in a nutshell. Now, in my humble opinion, Jim Jordan nailed the thing completely. So if you want to know why we're doing what we're doing and the reason for allowing Michael Cohen to speak in the House Oversight Committee, he just made The perfect example right there, which is why I think it was wonderful that we got to hear from Jim Jordan and tell everybody what the deal was. And that transitions, I think, if I'm not mistaken, to another story that you just let me know about earlier today, just before we went on the air. Sackhead's Clint, correct?
Correct.
Okay, radio hates dead air. I know you.
I just like staring at you like longingly. So this hearing takes place today on a day when Donald Trump is meeting with Little Kim,
right,
in Vietnam, and of all people, Geraldo Rivera pointed out
that was
I was
bizarre. I was
shocked.
Yes.
Geraldo Rivera wrote an article for Fox News, and the article he wrote is actually critical of Michael Cohen, and in his analysis, this is going to come back and bite the left in the rear. And here's what Geraldo said. And again, this is an opinion piece written by Geraldo Rivera for Fox News, and I'm going to be quoting from some of the article. But what he says is this: what a weird morning. Wednesday, February 27th is. Overseas, the president, and this is, again, Geraldo Rivera. He says, overseas, the president continues his historic outreach to Kim Jong-un, North Korea's supreme leader. The stakes could not be higher. Nothing less than nuclear disarmament and ending the almost 70-year-long Korean War. To Democrats, especially those on the House Oversight Committee, the potentially giant step toward making the planet safer pales in comparison to the opportunity to unsettle the Trump presidency and possibly pave the way for his eventual impeachment. These raw meat, take-no-prisoners politicians have been circling shark-like around Michael Cohen, the president's former fixer, who is, as you read this, stabbing his ex-boss in the back. In his opening remarks, Cohen branded Trump as a racist, con man who cheats everybody and advances knowledge of WikiLeaks, blah, blah, blah. He goes on to say, the fact that these hearings are going on this week as President Trump works hard in Vietnam to make the world safer shows how our political discourse has degenerated into a sleazy game of gotcha. Michael Cohen has already been convicted of lying to Congress, yet now, to congressional Democrats, he is their last best hope of beating or at least punishing Donald Trump. Unless Cohen has more than I've heard so far, his personal betrayal will fail. The reason this story is interesting is not only because it's written by Geraldo Rivera. Do we need to take a break right now?
Yeah, we should.
Okay. It's not only because it's written by Geraldo Rivera, but I think it provides a snapshot into what other Democrats are feeling as well, and I think could propel Trump to a victory in 2020.
Hold that thought. Hold that thought, because I think that's an extremely significant thought. And as a matter of fact, when we come back after the break, I would like you to reiterate that thought and make it again so that people who just come back, I mean, this is a perfect time to go to the bathroom, folks, if you need to. Sackhead's Clint, I want to reiterate that thought once again, because in my opinion, it is extremely important to reiterate that. Folks, you're listening to The Shat Show. That's the Sackheads Against Tyranny. I'm Sackheads BZ. That is Sackheads Clint over there. We're going to take a break. Don't go anywhere. Well, yeah, go pee. Go do what you need to do. Get an adult beverage, but come right back, okay?
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Hey, it's Sean from the Sackheads Radio Show. Also one of the owners here at the SHR Media Network. Are you opinionated? Have you ever wanted to do your own show? Have you ever heard somebody like the Sackheads and go, yeah, I could probably do that better? Well, now's your chance. Send me a 5-minute clip at sackheadsradio@gmail.com, and maybe you can be part of the SHR broadcasting team. sackheadsradio@gmail.com.
Broadcasting behind enemy lines in occupied California, a mere 2 miles from the state capitol, the bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show can be heard every Tuesday and Thursday night at 8 p.m. Pacific and 11 p.m. Eastern. Only on the SHR Media Network. Go to shrmedia.com to listen. You can also watch on the SHR Media Facebook page and the SHR Media YouTube channel. No goldfish were abused in the making of this ad.
When dirty politicians, shadow governments, and deceptive Islam blind the world with fake stream media smoke, their only fear is one man with a cane. I'm Dave Milner. Join me through shrmedia.com, highplainstalkradio.com, and the Western Free Radio Network at Spreaker, YouTube, and iTunes for a different perspective weekly on the Unpleasant Blind Guy. And catch me on Jeff Mitchell's EDL Radio on blogtalkradio.com. There's
no surrender ever.
Because truth is not always pleasant.
Hey guys, it's Sackhead Clint. I'm excited to tell you about a brand new show here on the SHR Media Network. I'm teaming up with the one and only all-powerful, the bloviating Zeppelin, sitting here to my left, bringing to you a fresh new show here on the network. It's Against Tyranny, and we'll be picking up where the Sackheads left off. Excited to be with you, sir.
Sackheads Against Tyranny.
We're going to chat. We're going to chat Wednesday nights. Sackheads Against Tyranny.
Wednesday night, 11 p.m. Oh, it's the same time, right? 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific.
Same SAC time, same SAC channel.
Yep. SHRmedia.com.
See what I did there?
It's your business diva here, Melanie Collette. I am inviting you to a front row seat as I discuss some of the most intriguing details of wealth and finance with today's movers and shakers in the world of business. Listen in and discover financial truths on a global, domestic, and household scale. Uncover topics that will impact your wallet today and in the future. Money Talk with Melanie airs Monday through Friday, 5 p.m. East, 2 p.m. West, right here on SHR Media and High Plains Pundit Talk Radio. You can't afford to miss it.
Human by race, Christian by faith, American by nationality, and conservative by choice. Reverend Ralph J. Chittum Sr. is the right guy on SHR Media from 8:05 to 9 p.m. Monday through Friday. And if on the rare occasion I am ever wrong, I will still always be right. The right guy on SHR Media.
Hey, this is Michael Wright.
And I'm Shannon Wright.
Join us for The Right Way with Shannon and Mike, Monday through Thursday from 7 to 9 a.m. right here on SHR Media.
Why are they joining us?
For fun things like sports, politics.
Oh, maybe some news and entertainment?
And all kinds of other things.
Money and recipes and events, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, so join us Monday through Thursday, 7 to 9 a.m. here on shrmedia.com.
Hey, BZ. So the plan's working. You got rid of Sacco. Sean is now stepping away.
I never even saw him.
And I know, and insidious. You know, we talked about this for, for the last 3 years, and finally coming to fruition.
You know I'm still in the room, right?
It's almost like he's here still. Did you hear that?
Yeah, it's kind of...
It's amazing. It's kind of
at you.
It's kind of eerie.
Kind of a poltergeist.
Like a poltergeisty thing.
Yeah, Sackheads Against Tyranny.
You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, it's the final 25 minutes of the Sackheads Show, the Shat Show, Sackheads Against Tyranny. I am Sackheads BZ, the Zepmeister, one each. And across from me over here is Sackheads Clint. These are the final minutes of the show, and we were talking offline here. We both said two things. Number one, this show just screamed by tonight. It went just boom. And number two, we both agree that we have had one hell of a time tonight, having a great time. Hope that you have too as well at home, listening or watching right now, or listening a little bit later on in podcast. We've had a great time. Hope that you have too. And we think that these have been some great topics, and we're just enjoying. I don't know if you guys are, but we got to say we're enjoying the hell out of being here tonight. And we appreciate you being here tonight as well. And all the people that are in chat. Look at all the people that are in chat. It's cool. I'm enjoying it. And we still have more stuff to go. Now, before we left for the break, Sackheads Clint was making a really excellent point, and I hope you might be able to reiterate that. So can you let folks, can you kind of recap again what you were saying as we broke? Because I think it's worth repeating.
Yeah, I think that with Geraldo Rivera writing an article that he wrote, the article that I quoted from, it's clear that, and Geraldo Rivera is not a friend of Donald Trump.
No.
He's not a friend of the right,
and he's a leftist.
He is a leftist.
Always advocating for more immigration, et cetera, et cetera. We shouldn't be so judgmental of these poor people.
Yeah, I've heard him be measured on some things in the past, and I agree with some of the chat that's going on in chat roll right now. He used to be a great investigative journalist. He's kind of gone off the rails, but to see this article from him tells me a couple things. It tells me that the people on the left, or the people on the left that are capable of critical thinking, see the bullshit. So, for lack of a better term, they understand that this is garbage, that this is theatrics, that it's going to hurt Dems, and actually giving President Trump credit for doing some serious work on the world stage, specifically with North Korea. And Geraldo Rivera, for once, hit the nail right on the head when he talked about really what's at stake in North Korea, the denuclearization of the communist North Korean regime and a potential end to the 70-year war that has existed, the state of war that's existed between North and South Korea.
Which leftists basically are saying today, that doesn't mean a thing. No one remembers the Korean War. That's completely immaterial.
Yeah.
North Korea is immaterial. Trump isn't going to be able to do anything there. It's all a distraction. It's wag the dog.
Just the fact that he is there engaging in dialogues is huge.
It's massive.
The fact that we haven't had a missile test or North Korea doing any saber rattling, we've had the return of some of our KIAs from the Korean War.
Yes, we have.
We have opened up relations with North Korea, and I almost liken it to President Nixon opening relations with China. This is a major development. These are big things that are happening on the world stage and for the United States. And so to be overshadowed by this perjurer, as Jim Jordan rightfully pointed out, and to have that be the story of the day over the serious work that's being done towards peace and on the world stage is huge. And the fact that this leftist, Geraldo Rivera, pointed that out today, I think really kind of provides a little glimpse into where some of the more reasonable Democrats are headed. And look, if you have a hard left candidate and Donald Trump is doing those things and doing good things to where even Geraldo Rivera is acknowledging both the ridiculousness of the Cohen testimony and the greatness of the work that Donald Trump is attempting to do, I think that Donald Trump could win 2020.
We said this before. We've addressed this situation before, and we have said something similar to, and you correct me if I'm coloring outside the lines, outside the margins. It's almost like, okay, please keep this up. Please keep up your insanity. Because the further left that you insist on pushing, the more people are beginning to understand the true agenda of leftists.
Yeah.
Where some people in the GOP are saying, oh, no, don't encourage them. They are nutters. They are crazy. Yet, still, we have, what was the vote with regard to abortion in the Senate? It was something like
53 to 40.
No, it was 56 to 40. 42, 43, something like that. Republicans went over. Republicans went across the aisle on this to what you essentially said this is infanticide.
I think Democrats went over to the Republican side. This is what, 54 Republican members, so 53 or 54. So if the vote was 56, we had a couple Dems come over.
It's just it doesn't make any sense. I'm trying to find, if you can kind of keep on that for a second. I'm trying to find the interaction between Rashida Tlaib.
Oh, where she called the representative racist, essentially.
Yeah.
Is that the story you're talking about?
Yeah. Let me see if I can find it.
Yeah, that is crazy. But you know what's funny about the Democrats are kind of going off the rails, but in one area in particular, and I know you're trying to find that story, the Republicans are actually kind of getting back on track. In California, the California Republican Party is trying to get a comeback because they realize how off the rails the Democratic Party has been, and Jessica Patterson has been elected or selected to chair the California State GOP, and she is the first ever woman to chair the GOP, and she's a Latino woman to boot. So
that is unique, and that
yeah.
that may be indicative of some kind of a marker, but you can't place all your eggs in that particular basket.
Correct.
Certainly because this is California.
Correct. And you know the Dems are you have inside. We've already talked about how hard left they're going, but there's a report that came out that 2020 Democrats are being urged to back a push to pack the Supreme Court. And there's been one Democrat candidate, I have to go through the article to find out who it was, that said, "Yeah, I don't know that I'm supportive of that," but there are others who are open to that idea.
Hell yeah. Okay, I've got the cut up. It's I think it's a 4-minute cut. I have not previewed this cut, so I have a general idea where this goes, but I don't know how long I'm going to let it go.
Yeah.
I don't know if you want to come over here so you can hear it. Like
No.
I say, it's 4 minutes, 58
if you click
seconds.
your earphone off, I can hear it.
Okay. So we're going to play this. This is Rashida Tlaib, who literally goes off at the Michael Cohen hearing to the point where one of the other guys, and I can't think of the guy's name, actually a Democrat, actually has to rein her back in. And let's see if I've queued this up appropriately.
It's the fact that someone would actually use a prop, a black woman, in this chamber, in this committee, is alone racist in itself. Donald Trump is setting
Mr.
a precedent.
Chairman, I ask that her words
Donald
be
Trump
taken
is setting
down.
a precedent. I reclaim my time.
Mr.
Donald
Chairman,
Trump is setting a precedent.
Mr.
That
Chairman.
the highest office can be attained
Mr. Chairman, the rules
legal
are clear.
activity. Cover up and hold on to business assets to break campaign finance laws and constitutional clauses. What we have here, Mr. Chairman, is criminal conduct and the pursuit of the highest public office by Mr. Cohen and Individual 1. I hope that the gravity of this situation hits everyone in this body,
The court report.
and in Congress and across this country. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I yield the rest of my time.
Mr. Chairman, I ask that her words, when she's referring to an individual member of this body, be taken down and stricken from the record. I'm sure she didn't intend to do this, but...
Okay, by the way, the guy that she's speaking to, the chairman, and now I remember his name, he's the bald guy, Elijah Cummings. So he's the person that he's addressing now is Elijah Cummings.
If anyone knows my record as it relates, it should be you, Mr. Chairman.
Chairman, I would like to...
Hold on.
I want the words read back.
No.
We want to know exactly what she said about a colleague.
Excuse me. Would you like to rephrase that statement, Ms. Tlaib?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I can actually read it from here.
He's pissed.
Just to make a note, Mr. Chairman, that just because someone has a person of color, a black person working for them, does not mean they are racist. And it is insensitive that someone would even say racist, say it is racist in itself, and to use a black woman as a prop to prove it otherwise. And I can submit this for the record. If a colleague is thinking that that's what I'm saying, I'm just saying that's what I believe to have happened. And if, as a person of color in this committee, that's how I felt at that moment, and I wanted to express that. But I am not calling the gentleman Mr. Meadows a racist
Yes,
for
she
doing
was.
so. I'm saying
Yes,
that in
she
itself
was.
it is a racist act.
Specifically.
Well, I hope not, Mr. Chairman, because I need to be clear on this particular. Mr. Chairman.
Mr.
Okay, let me stop right now. Folks, you can't see the video. Neither can Sackhead Clint over there. Well, what is happening is she's sitting there looking at the camera and then looking away, and she's smiling. She thinks this shit is funny. This is a freshman first year, first 2 months on this panel. And this is funny because she's getting a rise out of the other guy. She's getting a rise out of her chairman, Elijah Cummings. And you ought to see Michael Cohen is sitting there, actually sitting back in the chair, hasn't said a thing. And he's watching the artillery shells fly back and forth between these two people, completely uninvolved. And she's laughing now. She's smiling. She thinks this is funny.
Mr. Meadows, wait a minute.
I've defended you with false accusations.
Mr. Meadows, I'm the chair.
Yes, sir, you are.
Thank you.
Right.
I will clear this up.
And that is Mark Meadows, by the way.
Now, Ms. Salib, I want to make sure I understand. You were not intending to call Mr. Meadows a racist, is that right?
No, Mr. Chairman, I do not call Mr. Meadows a racist.
Okay, Sackheads Clint, from what you heard, did she call him a racist?
She didn't specifically call him a racist, but she insinuated the crap out of the fact that she thought he was a racist.
Right, and directly to his face
And
in an
directly to his
open
face.
chambers
Yep.
in public.
Yep, and even
there's
her-
no other. What other interpretation could one take out
There's
of what
none.
it is that she said?
There's
I
none.
submit there is no other interpretation
even
to
with
make.
you can tell the contempt dripping off her lips when she says,
And her smile.
I did not call him a racist. That's like my freaking kid.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't
I
call you that.
Do it. It wasn't me.
I am trying,
Wait a minute, hold
as
on.
a person of color, Mr. Chairman, just to express myself and how I felt at that moment. And so
So you
just
felt
for the
he was a
record,
racist.
that's what
Yeah.
was my intention.
All right. All right. Mr. Meadows.
Mr. Chairman.
Okay, so I think we've had
Feelings.
enough. Yeah.
I was expressing how I felt. You're a member of Congress. It's not your job to give an emotional response.
Well, as far as she's concerned, apparently it is. So, folks, you needed to hear that. I wanted to make sure that you heard that. And what it's doing is it tends to, and it lends itself credence to what I and Sackheads Clint have said for quite some time. There are two ways of looking at this. I tend to look at it as, okay, keep this stupid crap up, because what it's tending to prove time and again, that you guys are nothing but loud-mouthed morons. They have little, if any, idea about what they're saying, what they want, what they stand for. All they're here to do is to strike a match and light anything and everything that they come across on fire because they can. Mm-hmm. And that thought, that prevailing philosophy, also applies to President Trump. If there's anything at all that they can do to shoot down or impede President Trump because he does not conform, and he was made and continues apparently to be made of Teflon on so many issues, they've never come across a cat like this before. And it's all about, at this point, I submit that the people of the United States, you don't matter to leftists anymore. You can all go to hell. It's all kabuki theater. It's all a production. And if they can burn everything down, they possibly can. Whether they're doing anything, whether they're working against America or working for America, I don't think that really factors anymore, as long as whatever it is that they're doing continues to help to bring down President Trump in any fashion. They cannot accede any victories, any pluses, any accomplishments that he's managed to make in his 2 years now, 3 years, almost 3 years, the end of 3 years. We've got elections in 2020. We got 6 more minutes left. I wanted to hit this. Let's see. Okay. Here's a story, and I want your thoughts on this, Sackheads Clint. I just saw this in Bloomberg.com. Don't know if you've heard this. Joe Biden says, the most important people in my life want me to run for president in 2020. So it says, stepping further towards a presidential run in 2020 and closer than he ever has before, former Vice President Joe Biden declared yesterday, that his family, including his grandchildren, are encouraging him to launch a White House bid. And it looks like we got about 6 minutes left, right around in there. Any thoughts about Joe Biden? Because initially, before, we were saying no. Well, now apparently, it's something different.
We talked about it, and I said, I don't remember if it was last week or the week before, but within the last few weeks, we've talked about the fact that, in my opinion, Joe Biden is, at this point, the only Democrat, I think, who could beat Trump. I think that Joe Biden can come across as likable. I think he comes across as knowledgeable. He comes across like
sympathetic. Let's throw sympathetic in there because of the passing of his son.
He comes across as a statesman. He knows the issues. He knows the ins and outs of legislating for sure.
He's infinitely more the statesman than about 90% of the leftists.
Yes, and I think that he would give Trump a run for his money because he's. I think Joe Biden is well spoken enough, and like I said, I use that statesman's term. I think enough to come across as being that way to where if Trump fired at him, I think Joe Biden is sharp enough to fire back, but not to fire back to the same degree as Trump has. I think he'd hurt him by making a comment in there, but the comment would still be acceptable, would still be statesman-like, would not cut as much. And I think the fact that he would be able to hit Trump, maintain his composure, and be quote-unquote more presidential than the president, I think would pull the moderate voters and even some Republicans that don't like Trump. I think that Trump would have to really tone that down and run on his record to have a chance of beating Biden. But if Trump were to pop off to Biden, I think that Joe Biden's conduct would outperform Donald Trump's accomplishments in office.
Yes, and I would also throw the word in there that people may have forgotten after a while, Bidenisms. It's also interesting. You got to admit, Joe Biden was entertaining as hell.
He was.
During the Obama era. Was he not? Then Kaiser in chat also says, Joe Biden, the molesting uncle in your family?
But we do Trump has plenty of Trumpisms. Trump says off-the-wall crap all the time.
That's very true.
Right? So and who comes across better in their isms? I submit that Joe Biden comes off better with his isms than Trump does.
Would you be amenable to saying that if it's Joe Biden, that Donald Trump would actually have to be a little cautious in the way he addresses Joe Biden, a little bit more cautious than he would be, than he would find himself being against a lot of the people that are so sinfully left that they're caricatures of themselves.
And that's kind of my point. The big question I have is this: can Joe Biden win the nomination? We already know that Hillary Clinton, it seems, stole the nomination from Bernie Sanders.
Yes, all indicators are yes.
So at the DNC, it seems like they were ready to put all of their eggs behind the socialist. So
weird.
So I don't know, given the current makeup of the Democratic Party and the hard turn to the left that the Democratic Party has taken, I don't know that if Joe Biden could actually get a nomination.
See,
I think the establishment Democrats would. I think the moderate Democrats would, but the hard left, I don't think they'd support him, and I think it'd be close.
Here's a final story that I'd weigh in there, and I want to make sure I mention this before the end of the show, and I'll be brief. This is a story from The Hill, and the title of this, the headline is, Hillary Clinton says she can't imagine running for president again. Hillary Clinton says she can't imagine running for president again, but says in a new interview that she's going to keep speaking out about President Trump. Final question to Sackheads Clint. Do you believe her?
I don't believe anything she says.
Is it possible that she will actually throw her hat in the ring, or
it's
at
possible.
this point, is it just too late because so many other people are lining up?
No, I think it's possible. I think honestly, I think she's waiting to see what Biden's going to do. I think she knows that she can't beat Biden. I think that if Biden doesn't throw his hat in the ring, she might throw her hat in the ring as the moderate choice. But if he puts his hat in the ring, I don't think she'll run. But who knows? She's so much of a narcissist. She may just.
Let me ask you this: how improbable is this scenario? Joe Biden president, Hillary Clinton VP.
Yeah, that's possible. And Biden being a one-term president because of his age. So perhaps the understanding of Biden.
When I go away,
right,
it'll automatically turn over to you.
Yep.
Hillary Clinton.
So how about this scenario? A Biden-Clinton ticket. Biden runs one term. Perhaps, depending the state of the country, is able to get reelected, serves 1 year, retires for health reasons, and then Hillary Clinton is president of the United States for 3 years.
Wow.
Then capable of reelection after that.
We could war game the hell out of this, couldn't we?
Absolutely.
And that's, folks, that's kind of why you listen to us here. It's that time again. It's time for us to go. And we have definitely had a great time tonight. Like I said, this has been one of my favorite shows of 2019. And February is almost gone.
Almost gone.
Already. On my show, I'm going to tell you about something that I think is coming in a couple of weeks that perhaps some people need to be aware of. Tomorrow night, I'm going to have Professor Michael Jones, constitutional scholar, on. Thanks for listening tonight. I'm Sackheads BZ. That's Sackheads
Clint. That's
so
easy.
Thanks for listening. Come back and visit us next Wednesday, 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific. Sackheads Against Tyranny. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.